Welcome to Barça News. It is July 3rd, 2026. And ladies and gentlemen, and El Cholo Simeone has finally broken his silence in regards to Julian Alvarez. And I'm going to tell you what he said. Also, Barcelona have inquired about Rafael Leao. And finally, Barcelona have one more exit that has been completed. We have a lot to discuss. So let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Boo. And I know today is Friday, and usually Fridays we have podcasts, and I didn't do a podcast. I apologize about that. You can blame it on the World Cup, like that T-Pain song. Blame it on the alcohol. Well, blame it on the World Cup because today we had a lot of exciting matches, and the plan was to do the podcast between the Argentina and Colombia matches. But instead, Argentina decided to go extra halves, so that left me with very little time in between the Argentina and Colombia matches. So this is why I'm doing this short live now. No podcasts, I'm sorry, but I'll make it up. I don't know if I'll do a podcast maybe tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday. But what a day! What a day in the World Cup. We first had Egypt and Australia going all the way to penalty shootouts with Egypt through into the next round. I think it's the first time in their history they make it to the round of 16. Pretty exciting. We saw, of course, Hamza Abdel Karim getting some minutes. Man, this is how you know Hamza Abdel Karim is someone who's showing a lot of promise when you are tied and you're looking for a win and your coach sends you in at 18 years old. First World Cup ever, and he sends you in as the number 9. Crazy. Not the first time that has happened in this World Cup, by the way. But anyways, Egypt are through. I think Australia was the last Asian team, right? Am I mistaken? I don't think there's any more Asian teams after that. I know Australia is not in Asia, but they play as in part of the Asia Federation. They used to play as part of Oceania with New Zealand and other islands, and then they requested to join the Asia Confederation or the AFC. So I think they were the last team, if I'm not mistaken. So Egypt are through the round of 16. Congratulations to Egypt. Pretty exciting. Again, first time in history. Also, Argentina versus Cape Verde. Ladies and gentlemen. Cape Verde, ladies and gentlemen. Cape motherfucking Verde. Wow. I didn't know anything about them before this World Cup as far as their team. Nothing. And now I'm a fan. I mean, I was literally on Googling Cape Verde jerseys because I want to get a jersey because their World Cup was absolutely phenomenal. We're talking about a team who made it complicated, who were a headache against Spain, a World Cup champion, Uruguay, 2 times World Cup champion, and today against Argentina, 3 times World Cup champion. What a team, ladies and gentlemen. What a team. And not only did they make it very difficult for all these 3 World Cup champion countries, but the way they did it. Because there's been other smaller teams who have surprised us, right? Like maybe Congo, like the DRC, or Paraguay, for example, things like that. But no, those teams, they do it differently, right? Park the bus, defend with everything you got, dive for every ball. Every time you get the ball, just shoot it as far as possible. Like, no. This Cape Verde, very well organized, disciplined team that, yes, they defend well, but when they get the ball back, they build from the back. They create attacks. They create chances. I mean, they're so organized in every line that they got. I mean, absolutely amazing to watch them. There were several moments against Argentina where they were the superior team. And we're talking about Argentina, the current world champ, who have the best player in history. And there were a lot of moments in the match where Cape Verde were much more superior. What a run. What a match by Cape Verde. Absolutely amazing. And their goalkeeper, man, Vozinha, wow. They're going to have to change the country's name from Cape Verde to Cape Vozinha because Vozinha was absolutely phenomenal throughout the whole World Cup, not just today. And to think that it's a country of 500,000 people and to put up a team like that, to make a run like that in the World Cup, wow. I am just out of words, in complete awe. But anyways, and then Colombia has beat Ghana 1-0. So now Colombia are through as well. So we have the round of 16 already to go. We got 16 teams that left after the group stages. Another 16 teams have left now with the round of 32 is over. We only have 16 teams left out of 48. And of course, round of 16 starts tomorrow with 2 matches. I can't wait to see what happens. I might do another video with my predictions. But anyways, enough about the World Cup. Let's talk about Barcelona, because in yesterday's video, I told you about how Barcelona have made 2 key signings for the club structure. First, we have the head, Daniele Placido, who's going to be the head of emerging talent, whose job is going to be recruit young, promising players from all around the world. And then we talked about how Barcelona have hired a new fitness coach for the first team, because Hansi Flick was not happy with the job that Julio Toz had done last season, because there was a lot of injuries, and Julio Toz will now be the fitness coach for Barça Athletic and Juvenil A. Now, I told you how Barcelona had reached an agreement with this new fitness coach, someone that Hansi Flick handpicked, but we didn't know who he was. We only had speculation on who it might be. I gave you a name yesterday. It turns out that wasn't that name. Instead, now we do have confirmation. This is no longer speculation, but we do know who will be the new fitness coach for Barcelona's first team, and it's no other than Benjamin Kugel. Benjamin Kugel. He is German. He is German. You know, yesterday when we were speculating, they were saying he was German. He is German. That is indeed. He did work with Hansi Flick as well. They both worked on a German national team, but it wasn't when Hansi Flick was the coach of the German national team. It was when Hansi Flick was the assistant of Joachim Löw back in 2014 when Germany won the World Cup. So Flick worked on that team, and so did Mr. Kugel, who again will become Barcelona's new fitness coach. Now, Benjamin Kugel has plenty of experience, has an extensive curriculum. He has worked at clubs like Werder Bremen, Red Bull Salzburg, FC Cologne, I think that's how you say it, the Israeli national team, PSV Eindhoven, and most recently, he spent 2 seasons at Benfica, and now he will be in charge of the fitness of our, be able to prepare them for the very, very hectic demands of a season and several competitions, and keep them healthy, because what's the point of having great players if they spend it injured, right? So welcome to the team, Benjamin Kugel, and let's hope that he can lead us to success by keeping our players healthy and fit. Now on to the next bit of news, because ladies and gentlemen, it is complete. It is done. The exit of Mark Ter Stegen. Ter Stegen will be joining Ajax on loan. Agreement has been reached. Everything has been agreed to between all 3 parties. And Ter Stegen will spend the next season on loan with Ajax. Now, as you know, Mitchell, the former coach of Girona, is now the new coach of Ajax, since Girona have been relegated to 2nd division. It was Mitchell that requested the loan of Ter Stegen back when he was at Girona. But back then, it didn't work out, because as soon as Ter Stegen arrived, he got injured. And now that Mitchell is at Ajax, he once again requested the signing of Ter Stegen. And of course, the sporting director of Ajax is Jordi Cruyff, the former sporting director of Barcelona. He also knows Ter Stegen, so he agreed. And between the 2 of them, they have convinced Ter Stegen to join the Amsterdam-based club on loan until next summer. Now, it has not been revealed how much of Ter Stegen's salary Ajax will pay, but there are some reports saying that only 10%. This was kind of like the Girona deal. Again, this is not confirmed. Once I confirm it, I will let you know. Hopefully it is more, but that's what they're saying right now. And it's expected that Ter Stegen will travel to Amsterdam either Wednesday or Thursday of next week. Now, Ter Stegen so far has been training at the Ciudad Esportiva to recover from that injury. He's expected to be fully recovered by the beginning of the Barcelona preseason, which is July 13th, approximately. So this deal, of course, hinges on Ter Stegen being fit. So when Ter Stegen arrives in Amsterdam, Ajax will conduct a very detailed, very exhaustive medical exam to make sure that Ter Stegen is healthy and fit to play, or at least that he will be healthy and fit to play because he's still, recovering from that injury. And if he is, then this deal will be through. Ter Stegen will be playing next season in Ajax, where hopefully he'll get the minutes that he needs to get back into competitive rhythm to impress Ajax and maybe stay there on a permanent basis, or maybe, I don't know, attract the attention of a different club that can take him on a permanent basis because, of course, at Barcelona, he no longer has a spot now that Barcelona have Julián Garcia. All right, on to the next bit of news because Diego El Cholo Simeone, the Atletico Madrid coach, has finally broken his silence in regards to Julian Alvarez and everything that's been going on with Barcelona wanting to sign Julian. Atletico saying no, he's not for sale. Then Julian coming out and saying, I want to leave. And today, El Cholo Simeone was in Miami where Argentina played. He was actually in that VIP box. They showed him several times wearing Argentina jersey. And of course, before the match, he was asked in an interview with ESPN about, hey, what was going on with Julian? And this is what the Atletico Madrid coach had to say. He is the best footballer we have at Atletico Madrid, without a doubt. He is among the top 5 in the world. If he stays, we have planned to generate the game around him. So El Cholo Simeone promising Julian to build the team around him if he decides to stay. Then talking about the whole situation, saying, I can't say anything more than what I'm telling you about him because he's conducted himself well as a person. His future, above all, lies in tomorrow's match. He's talking, of course, about today's match against Cape Verde. And the best thing for him is to focus on that, not to dwell on all these issues that have obviously come to light so that they don't cause him any confusion, and things will sort themselves out as they have in life. So El Cholo Simeone, kind of like lavishing Julian, calling him top 5 in the world. He also had other statements about the injury. He said that he saw Julian briefly, talk to him about his ankle to see how he was holding up, and glazed him a lot more about how he's the greatest and he's amazing and blah, 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 blah. And saying that if Julian stays, he's going to build a team around him. And then, kind of saying like things will work themselves out. Now, of course, these statements are interesting because we know that behind closed doors, Simeone doesn't want Julian on the team because if Julian has expressed doubts, well, not even expressed doubts, Julian has outright said he wants to leave. So Simeone doesn't want a player who wants to leave like that on his team. But of course, these statements, it's not exactly what he is saying behind closed doors. So the question is, why is Simeone saying this, right? Now, of course, we can only hypothesize, and this is what my hypothesis is. First of all, I think this is part of Atletico Madrid's plan or change in tone, as I told you about, I think it was last week or a few days ago. Atletico Madrid have now changed their tone where they're trying to convince Julian by being nice, kind of like, you catch more flies with honey rather than vinegar, right? And Atletico Madrid have been like reaching out to him a lot through meetings, like, hey, you're very important to us. We want you to stay, blah, blah, blah. Having the players who are not playing the World Cup text them like, hey, man, we love you. You're our leader. We need you, blah, 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 blah. We know that Miguel Ángel Gilmarín traveled to the U.S. to meet with him, and same thing, explain to him how important he is and how they want him to stay. So I think this is part of that whole plan of Atletico Madrid to try to like convince Julian in a nice way, kind of like make him feel guilty, make him regret it, as opposed to like, no, you're staying in F you. No, it's kind of like, come on, man, we love you, bro. Like, stay with us, right? So I think this is part of it. Also, I think this is also a way where if this strategy doesn't work, the change in tone doesn't work, and Julian still decides to leave, I think this is a way for Atletico Madrid to kind of, keep the price inflated, right? Because, there's a difference between a coach saying, I don't want this guy. So it's a lot easier to be like, all right, well, if you don't want him, I'll offer you whatever, right? At the end of the day, you don't want him. Versus, oh, no, he's top 5. We're going to build a team around him. And all of a sudden, when you go negotiate, Atletico are going to be like, well, you heard our coach. He wants him. He wants to build a team around him. He's very important for us. So if we're going to let him go, it's going to have to be for a lot of money, right? And also, finally, this is a way to kind of save face in case Julian does end up staying, right? Because the fans right now, they don't want to see him anywhere near the stadium, right? He said he wants to leave. But if he stays, then he can be like, well, look, coach wants him. He thinks he's important. Like, come on, right? So I think this is part of thinking of all the different scenarios, trying to convince him to stay in a nice way. And if he does stay, save face in front of the fans. And if he doesn't stay and he leaves, well, this is a way to kind of like keep the price inflated. But anyways, this is all, of course, my own theory of why Simeone has made these statements and why now. This thing has been going on for a long time. But let me know what you guys think. Why do you think Simeone is saying these things about Julián? Anyways, speaking of Julián, by the way, we have new updates from the Barcelona front because it's reported that now Barca have set a deadline on when they want to hear from Atletico Madrid. And this is very, very important. Of course, I reviewed with you 2 days ago. Yeah, on Wednesday. Joan Laporta's statements. Of course, on July 1st, Joan Laporta became president again. And during his, inauguration, if you want to call it that, he spoke about the Julián issue and he said that, yes, an offer has been sent to Atletico, that, yes, they haven't responded to it, and that the offer is still out, but it's not going to be forever, right? It's not going to be an unlimited offer. Well, now we know what Laporta meant by that because Barcelona have set a deadline to hear Atletico Madrid's response by the end of the World Cup. And when I mean by the end of the World Cup, I don't mean the end of the World Cup in general. It's whenever Julián's World Cup ends. So if Argentina goes all the way to the final, obviously once the World Cup is over. If it happens before, then it's whenever Argentina is out of the World Cup. So Barcelona have set that deadline. They want to hear a response. This doesn't mean the deal has to be closed by the end of the World Cup. This means they need a response from Atletico because right now there's no response, right? Barcelona sent that offer, 90 plus 10, and that's it, total silence. It's not like we accept it, we reject it, we want more, we want less. Well, obviously it's never going to be we want less, but you know what I mean. So Barcelona have set a deadline. If Atletico do not respond by the end of the World Cup, at least to reject it or something, then Barcelona, of course, are going to, have to move on. Now, there are 3 scenarios here that Barcelona are expecting. Of course, scenario number 1, Atletico Madrid sit down and negotiate. Then perfect. Something can be worked out. Scenario number 2, Atletico Madrid decide not to negotiate and Julián forces them to do so, either by, making more statements, maybe saying, I'm not going to show up to training, whatever it might be. And then scenario number 3, Atletico refuse to sit down, and that's it, regardless of what Julián does. In that case, then Barcelona will go and sign somewhere else because, of course, Barcelona need someone for the center forward position. Their number one priority is Julián. They're willing to go all out to sign him, but they're also not going to wait until the final day of the summer transfer market because then if this doesn't happen, you're screwed, right? You have no time to sign anyone else. So I'm very glad that Barcelona have set a deadline. This needed to be done because we cannot wait forever, right? We need to know what's going to happen. And if this doesn't work out, we need enough time to find someone else. Now, of course, Barcelona do have a list of players that they could consider, but those players are also not going to wait until the last day of the summer transfer market. So it's important that Barcelona have set a deadline. Now, let's end today's video or today's live with a interesting news coming out of Italy, more specifically Gazzetta dello Sport. I don't know Italian. But the Italian media outlet have confirmed that Barcelona have reached out to AC Milan to inquire in regards to Rafael Leao, the Portuguese attacker, who's currently having a pretty good World Cup. Pretty good World Cup for Leao with Portugal. I don't know. What do you guys think? He's not like, one of the best players in the World Cup, but I think he's one of the better players on the Portuguese team. But anyways, Barcelona have reached out to AC Milan to inquire what the situation is. Like, hey, what's going on with this guy? Is he leaving? Is he staying? Do you know where he wants to go? What would be the price? Kind of like just to know what the situation is of the Portuguese attacker. This doesn't mean that Barcelona will be making an offer or negotiating. This is just like, hey, what's going on with this guy? Let me know. And that's it. Now, it's reported that AC Milan have do not count on Leão, right? The club and the player have both decided that going separate ways is the best thing possible, especially with the arrival of Ruben Amorim, because in Ruben Amorim's scheme, he depends more on more like interior forwards as opposed to wingers, right? Plus, the relationship between Leão and the club haven't been that good anyway. So AC Milan have given Rafael Leao the permission to go search for his next destination. A lot of clubs are now interested in monitoring the situation. And it's reported that AC Milan would want 60 million euros or could even settle for less, which of course is a huge, huge price drop. Because remember when Barcelona were trying to sign Nico Williams, Joan Laporta, who's always been a huge fan of Rafael Leao, who reminds him of Ronaldinho. Of course, Ronaldinho was Joan Laporta's signing back in the day. Laporta wanted Rafael Leao, but AC Milan wanted 150 million for him. So, of course, Deco was like, no, we need to go with Nico Williams. We cannot afford to pay 150 for Leao. So to go from 150 million to 60, I mean, we're talking about more than half. So big, big, big price drop. Now, why is Barcelona inquiring about Rafael Leao? Well, for starters, like I said, Joan Laporta has always been a huge, huge fan of Leao, who he's always wanted him to have him on the team. But the other reason is because Leao is considered kind of like another option B, right? We've talked about the list of option Bs in case Julián doesn't arrive. Well, it seems like Leao is being placed on that list currently amongst other players. So if Julian Alvarez does not arrive in Barcelona, Barcelona cannot complete that signing, then Barcelona would consider the signing of Leao. This does not mean if Barcelona don't sign Julian, for sure we're signing Leao. No, we would consider signing Leao. Right now, there's no considering signing him. Right now, it's just like, hey, wow, what's going on with him? Okay, cool, thanks, bye, boom, right? If Barcelona don't sign Julian, Leao would be one of the many options that Barcelona would consider. Now, if your question is, well, Mo, what would we do with Leao? We already have Rafinha. We just signed Gordon. Well, we're going to have 3 left wingers like Madrid. Well, the plan would be, if the signing does go through, will be Gordon would kind of be moved to the center forward position, and Leao would alternate with Rafinha on that left wing. But again, this is one of the many option Bs that Barcelona are considering in case Julián doesn't arrive, but Julián remains the number 1 option. As far as plan B, there are many plan Bs, including Rafael Leao. Anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. That is all. Thank you guys for watching. Again, I'm sorry I didn't do a podcast. Blame it on the World Cup. That Argentina match took too long. The extra halves. So many extra halves today. There's going to be something to worry about, by the way, because they added an extra round, right? The round of 32. And we already saw several matches go to extra halves, right? Morocco, Netherlands, Paraguay, Germany, Argentina, Cape Verde, Egypt, Australia. And, you know, it's going to be interesting to see how the players hold up. But anyways, tomorrow the round of 16 begins. Very excited. We'll see what happens. And, of course, I will be here still bringing you Barca news. So I hope to see you guys in those videos. But anyways, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Bis Barça.